Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for August 16th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today, making his live feed update debut, it's Chappell. How you doing, Chappell?
First and last time, Taran. First and last time.
We haven't even got past the intro. We've already lost him.
I said what I said. This is it. Hello, good morning, good night. That is all.
How was your first experience prepping for the live feed update, Chappell?
Define prepping. I watched the feeds and I am tired. And yeah, you were doing the Lord's work here. Thank you so much. But I am excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, Chappell, as I'm sure
Yeah.
many people are. We are here, of course, to update you guys on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. It was day 40 in the house, and we got some stuff to talk about. It was a slower day. There was some movement happening in the house. The plan is still in place. Kyland, as the HOH, nominated Claire and Big D for eviction. Kyland and Alyssa now have a veto due to the twist. Kyland intends to use his veto on Claire to backdoor or at least put up Brittany as the target for the week. That is all still in place as of today. Just a little bit of movement in terms of what the plans are for next week and sort of long-term relationship stuff.
Yeah, and Darren, I just feel like every year we have these same arguments about like what's the definition of a backdoor, and at this point, I just think that should be required reading. Like before they come in the house, like they have to sit them down and talk to them about like this is an actual backdoor. Like when the plan from the beginning is to get somebody on the block by not allowing them to be in the veto so that you can eliminate them. Like that is a backdoor. All of this replacement nomination and like I got backdoor. No, we just ran out of options, or I changed my mind halfway through the week. Like. And I'm not upset that they asked the questions. I'm just tired of it. You know, like we do this every year. Like just sit them down, give them the manual, give them the rule book.
I just feel like it's a losing battle. I feel like just let them call it the backdoor, because really, I think one of the problems is that we don't even have a good word for what this is. Like Brittany going up, she played in the veto. She wasn't the original target, but she's going up as the replacement target. But there's not like a catchy word for it.
Yeah, the double veto backdoor. I don't know. Like, what do you call something like this? Yeah, this is wild. But yeah, just for me, I'm like, oh, are we still having this conversation? Are we doing this again? So yeah, you know, it is what it is.
It is quite what it is. So Chappell, would this have been an easier day for you if there had been more going on, or would that have been even worse?
Yeah, I think I would be more compelled to, like, you know, and excited about it if there was more going on. A lot of this was me like, okay, Alyssa, Christian is gone and he's never coming back. Let it go. Or like, you know, like there was a lot of therapy yesterday where we were just like hashing out personal issues. And so like, man, everybody else gets to talk about, you know, funerals and, you know, backdoors and blindsides. And I get to listen to everybody like kumbaya and like mediate and talk about whose job is what job. I'm like, oh man, I feel like y'all wasted the good. Y'all wasted the good surprise on me. You know, like, well, how did I end up here? Like, wait, let's do a redraw.
All right. Well, we'll have to next time when we
No,
convince you to do it again.
No.
We're gonna get you on an exciting day, and you'll have fun with it.
You will not. You will not. This was exciting. I lied. I had such a good time, Darren. I'm so happy to be here with so much movement. Let's get into it.
All right. Well, we start the day with Kyland. He's going to talk to the cameras. He's confirming that he is going to be using the veto on Claire. And he talks through that he is going to be doing another question session at some point today. And we're all very excited about that, Chappell.
I just let out like the biggest deep Negro spiritual sigh of all time. Like, oh my gosh. You know, we were happy with Kylan the first time he did it. Like it was building consensus about like a person that we could all vote out. You know, he was gathering information. But if this was me, I would be so upset because Kylan waits till what, 3 a.m. to start having these conversations, it felt like. And I could not have been in this house. It would have been the end of me. I was like, sir, I'm going to sleep. Leave me alone. Nominate me, vote me out. I don't care. Because what Colin's doing is basically just interrogating people. It's not questions. It's like, tell me everything I want, or it could be you. And so I will not be answering any questions. Thank you. Like, that's Kylan's whole thing. And for me, I would be compelled to be like, okay, I have to win just so I can do this to Kylan. Just so I can be like, now that you know, well, no, because listen, now that you know everything, right? You have interrogated everyone in the house twice. You didn't tell them anything. Tell me everything you know, or it's you. Like,
Yeah.
that would be me. I don't know why no one has like wanted to do that. I would be dying to do that. Kylan is the keeper of the information. Now I'm the keeper of the information, or you're going home, Kylan. That would be my whole move here.
Yeah, just have a Kylan questioning session, and then when you bring Kylan in, okay, so my questions for you are a little bit unique. I want to know from you, who did Tiffany say she was targeting?
Exactly. Like,
who did Xavier say he was targeting?
he has the book. He has everything. You're like, okay, Kylan, well, let's talk about Claire's line of questioning. You know, like, what did she say? It's like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, now they said I was most influential. Did you try to change that, or did you just let that happen? Like Kylan, how much? Like, you have it all, and now I want it, because who said he gets to walk around and do this? And like I said, the first time it was cool. We were trying to get out like a common target. This time I'm not quite sure what he was trying to do. It just seemed like he was just bugging people at 3 a.m.
Yeah. So what he explains to Big D is that that basically today on the feeds, day 40, it was a day of trying to mediate cookout differences and communication issues. Two different methods, really.
Mm-hmm.
We had, or maybe even 3 different methods. We had the Big D method, we had the Kylan method, and we had the Xavier method, and one of them is significantly more successful than the other two. But Kylan's method, he talks to Big D. He feels like the way to clear up the communication differences and issues is by having these questions, so that he can then know where everyone stands in the cookout, and then there won't be any miscommunication. He'll have all that information, and everyone can be on the same page. But it's like, what do you mean? Like, you have all the information? Are you then going to then dole out the information to everyone? Are you assuming that everyone was going to want to give you their information, considering?
I will not be answering any questions, Taran. Thank you. Like, Kylan, you know everything. How is this helping us? Like, at least, like you said, Xavier was able to say, okay, look, I'm in the room, I'm mediating, we have questions going back and forth. He's also inserting this Christian stuff again, like, let it go. He's gone. He's never coming back. It's like, just leave it alone. But also, like, at least there's like a transference of information between both sides, the Jokers and Tiffany. With Kylan, it's just like, no, I want all the information. And now I feel comfortable with all of y'all beefing like this. I just don't see the point.
Yeah, and Kylan's questions are, they are like the kinds of questions that I would ask in an exit interview. Like if you were to win HOH, who would have been your target? Only if I had like more than like 5 minutes with a person, and I was like, okay, well, if the veto had been used, who would then you have put up on the block? Who do you think is playing the best game in the house right now? Who do you think you would vote for in the final 2 if they sat next to each other? Could you give me actually a ranked list of who you would like? That's basically the kinds of questions that he's asking here.
In a normal season, Big Brother, this is stuff that's found out organically, right? Like, you're sitting around talking to somebody, you're like, oh, and they say something like, I'm thinking about targeting Claire. What do you think? And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he goes back to his alliance and says, hey, I think they're coming after Claire. But Kylan's like, hey, fill out this questionnaire, submit it on my desk in triplicate, also like fax it to me, and like email it to me, drop it in my Google Drive, and then like I will decide if you can go home, like based off of the information that you gave me. Oh, and I said that like you can't answer me for any of the questions. So like, most influential, it is definitely not me. Like, it's not, I hear you saying it's me, but it's not me. And it's like, Kylan, this is not like, okay, it's working because people are playing ball, but at some point I'd be like, I'm not playing ball. Like, this is like, I will get through these conversations until he cannot put me up. And then the moment I have a chance, I want all the documents. I want them all in my Dropbox. Like, I don't care. I want it all. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
People are gonna like start telling Kylan information in regular conversations, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, I don't accept this file format. You're gonna need to convert this to PDF, aka interrogation session."
My office hours are between 8 and 5. Please leave a voicemail or drop
Yeah.
off your documents at the front desk.
It's
No, this
unfortunately
isn't
not
right.
4 in the morning right now, so I don't think this flies.
This is not good. I just don't I can't for me, this would just be the most annoying thing in the world. Like we even see people like contemplating going to sleep, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to piss Kylan off, or I don't want to hurt his feelings. Like it's 4 in the morning. It's 4 in the morning. I don't care. I'm going to sleep. Just eliminate me. Send me to the tree house. Take me out. Yes. Like I just want to be gone. I don't want to be here anymore. Sorry."
All right. Well, so that's what Colin plans on doing. That's and of course he's going to later. We'll maybe have to talk about it. He Tiffany is going to talk with Derek. They talk about how they're sending Brittany out this week. Derek feels like if they do send Brittany out, then maybe they can pull Ozza in. Maybe Ozza will be freed up a little bit. Derek has always had a good relationship with Ozza. And feels like he would like to be able to work with her moving forward if Brittany is gone. But we sort of know that it doesn't really matter what Derek wants to do.
No, it doesn't matter. What do you think about this Britney plan? Because I have reservations just in general about like if Britney perceives herself as being backdoor, which for all intents and purposes, fine, we'll call it that. Her reaction over the next few days, I just don't see this going well. I just don't know why you would put someone like Britney through this. She didn't love being on the block the first time or the second time. This kind of seems like a very violent way to eliminate someone from the house. Like it is like I took off I used the veto on a veto, to get you out. And it's like, wow, like in the words of Britney, like little old me. I just feel like this is a lot. And I'm not saying this could lose you a jury vote, but I mean, if I'm Brittany, I would be looking at you like, really? All of this just for me? All of this? Okay.
I feel like she might. I feel like there's a chance she might be like, yeah, you know what?
Oh yeah.
Like
Like,
they needed
look at
to
me.
backdoor me.
They had to double veto me out. Well, the thing is, she has to sit on next to the block. I mean, on the block next to Big D, who she thinks is the target, right? And so I mean, right now she's concerned about him. She's stressing all night. Like, I don't even know if I can sleep because Big D is on the block. This is a lot of emotional turmoil you're putting on Brittany. And I don't love it. I personally would have been like, because you're also doing this in front of Big D and Ozza, they're complicit. They know it's happening, but they also have shown that they have an emotional bond with Brittany and that her reactions to this stuff really takes a toll on them. So it's like, if you can do something this vicious to Brittany, maybe I don't want to vote for you. Maybe if you're sitting next to somebody a little bit more agreeable or who hasn't done these things, maybe they get my vote instead. I mean, I know the common goal is to get the cookout to the final six or whatever, but at that point, don't you want to win? Like, don't you want to actually have any equity to say like, give me the money over the rest of these people? Like, we made history, but also I want to win. I want to make history. Let me be the one to make history. I just feel like
Right?
they're forgetting that part.
They do seem to be. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely, and I talked about this last night, but there has been a really like solidification of the cookout. I think that it's something that Xavier mentions later in the day. I think the fact that 4 of the 6 members of the cookout were in the top 6, that has sort of signaled to them that America is backing them, or at least that's how Xavier sees it. Also, in Kylan's HOH letter, it said your community supports you. And they're kind of interpreting that as, well, that could mean like that she wrote this letter before the season started, and they're talking about the local community, or it could mean that like the Black community is like behind them and wanting them to do this. And those things, plus I think something else I talked about, like just the success of this alliance, the fact that they are in a prime position to just dominate to the final 6. It means that the next 5 evictions, they can basically be like, we are almost lock safe for 5 evictions. Like, it's hard to turn away from that, especially when you have other factors that are influencing you and biasing you toward that. Like, I do want to stick to the cause, and I do want to be loyal, and I do want to make history. And these little like temptations of like, well, I mean, what if I did
Yeah.
this? I feel like those temptations are becoming less and less tempting
Yeah.
as the ball gets rolling.
I'd agree. And I'd even say like it swayed me too, because up until maybe I'm not gonna lie. Up until yesterday, I was trying to figure out a way Tiffany could get these people out. Like I was like, all right, look, keep Derek X around. He could take a shot at Xavier. We get him out now. Like I listen. Love the cookout. Happy they made the jury. But as far as I was concerned, that was history. That was enough. Okay, I was good there. I'm Team Tiffany up until last night. I think yesterday, like you said, it solidified everything, but also hearing them come to terms with it and kind of put it in perspective for me. Like, if we all six of us make it to the final six, then there's 100% chance that a black person will win this season, and it has never happened. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, ugh, fine, you got me. And because I very much was like, Tiffany needs to win this season. Like that black person needs to win this season. Like for me, I was like, okay, the jury was enough. But and I'll give credit to Big D. He kind of was one of the people where I was listening to him like, fine. Because I was very much like, okay, listen, Tiffany, we need to like weaponize Derek X right now. We got him. We get him to win. Say, oh, Xavier and Alyssa still haven't let go of the Christian thing. Take out Xavier. Then Alyssa's just like a sitting duck. She might come after Derek X, which is great. I was ready. I was like, we need to get Claire some powers. Keep Claire here because we need Tiffany to have extra. Like, I was doing all the math and all the numbers. Look, I'm okay with it. It's fine. Y'all don't want to win. Y'all want to win. The royal y'all. You know what I'm saying? And so like that's fine. That's cool. So I'm okay with it. I'm more interested to see what happens when, okay, it's six of us. Now let's strategize between the six of us, right? Like we see that every season where it's like, okay, once the big alliance got everybody else out, when they start eating each other, what's the pecking order here? But I just feel like the pecking order is more beneficial if Tiffany can keep one of these other people, like outside of the alliance, like Claire or DX around to where they can, kind of help get out some of these competition threats, because I just don't see them being able to beat Xavier in these competitions coming up. Yeah, I mean, the game has changed there. You talk about it all the time. We talk about physical threats at the end now, and look at him. He's just walking to the final six. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. Y'all ain't gonna pinch him. Do something. Dang.
How about this? How about Cookout plus Derek X, and then now you're guaranteed at least one Cookout members in the final two. You have the numbers and the jury, so you have guaranteed a Cookout member wins. However, at that point, Derek X can start, start wrecking some stuff up for Tiffany.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we just need him just a little bit. Like, look, final 8 is good. Like Xavier can go this time, and then maybe Kylan, and then okay, we can go back and get Derek. I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm Team Tiffany. I think her edit would be amazing if she got this mastermind edit. She's so funny. Very reminiscent of Danielle Reyes, but not the same, because like she is very much like, she doesn't have like a solid number two, whereas Danielle Reyes, and it's like just, Jason and her were like, they are twosome. And Danielle Reyes largely is going to lose that game at the end anyway, when she gets to the end with Jason if she wants to, right? But here I'm like, Tiffany, you got the edit. You got the fans behind you. You're doing all the things. You're the super fan. You're the one who knocks. We need this win. But if you want to be in the final six with the cookout, I guess I'm okay with it.
Yes. All right. Well, Ozza talks to Brittany here. Brittany is a little bit concerned because she's been sort of running through the options of, let's say the veto is used. Who could Kylan put up? He's not going to put up Derek. He's not going to put up Tiffany. He's clearly, he can't put up Xavier because Alyssa has a veto. He's not going to put up Hannah. Who does that leave? That leaves us, the Jokers. If there's a renom, Big D's already on the block. I feel like I could maybe be in some trouble here if the veto is used. Oz is like, yeah, I don't think Kylan can be trusted. He picked us so many times in the knockout competition. Didn't you see that? Brittany's like, well, to be fair, I did pick him first. Yeah, I was like, no, we're upset about this. Brittany's like, we need to paint a bigger target in the house. But she doesn't know who she can even pick because there's really no other options. Ozza, like in this moment, is so clearly like, poor soul. I can't tell you.
Yeah, what is Ozza doing here? Like, we can't trust Kylan. Like, Ozza, at this point, shouldn't you be trying to get Brittany to relax a little bit? Like, like, okay, this is gonna be a long week. We're assuming because Kylan was up all night that nominations are going to be relatively early for this veto thing. So it's kind of like, for the next few days, you're gonna have stressed out Brittany. Like, don't you want just like a little bit more time of peace? But it's kind of like I was just trying to ease her into it, like, Brittany, this could not be great for you. This doesn't look promising. Like,
Mm.
what I mean, Taran, what could Brittany do? Is there anything Brittany could do?
It's funny. We're gonna talk about a Derek, or sorry, a Hannah and Xavier conversation later that Brittany interrupts, and she's just like so adorable in her interruption because she's interrupting hot takes with Hannah. That she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to have a hot take against me." Like, no, I'm not interrupting. No, leave me alone. That they're like, "Oh, now we feel so bad." But we can't take out Claire because it doesn't make sense. Like they actually genuinely reconsidered just for a moment, just because of how much they liked her. But really beyond that, there's not a lot that she can do here. It's the fact that she has the $100 is huge, and how the Jokers have reacted in the past is another big portion of this. That they really feel like with Brittany gone, it will pave the way for smoother relationships within the cookout. And again, given what we will again talk about today, it seems like that is actually true. That with Brittany on her way out the door, relationships are starting to come a little bit back together. So it's not looking great here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that this is happening to Brittany. I love her; she's so great. But no, I don't. No, I don't love her, Taran. I like her a lot. Like I don't love Brittany.
Oh
I know you're
yeah,
watching this,
no,
but
of
I
course
like.
not.
Yeah, no worries. I like her a lot. Like let's just say that. But no, seriously,
Yeah, no,
I
we don't
think
want Brittany proposing to you at the
yeah.
finale.
No, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Like it was just, I say love. Like we say that in this house. We just say that a lot here. But I think for me, uh, Brittany being known for interrupting things, this is, par for the course. She interrupts this and she's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be known for this interruption specifically. Like, oh, Brittany, don't worry. You'll see. You'll see. But I guess this is a good exit for Brittany. I just don't want to see her spiraling for the next few days. Like, it's like they're taking her out the pasture or something. I just feel so uncomfortable with this. And so I know Asa and Big D are not going to love this either.
Mm-hmm. Well, in a way, this is kind of a success for Brittany in the sense that she started the game as a pawn. And she had to come to like accept the fact that like I'm a pawn in this game. I don't want to be a pawn. I want to be a player in this game. And she fought hard to become a player in this game. And she's leaving as a player in this game, not as a pawn, not as somebody that can just be kind of thrown away, but as somebody that genuinely is being chosen as she's a threat to us. She has money in this game because she's a fan favorite. And we need to take her out because of that. And so I think in some ways she can look at that as a success. I think she might in the house right now, and I think she probably will even more when she looks back at it and sees the situation that she was in. So ultimately, not the worst exit in the world here for Brittany.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
All right, so
you made me feel a bit better. I'll take it. Whatever. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Tiffany is going to run through what happened with the failed flip last week with Alyssa, basically explain that it was the Joker's fault. And Alyssa then kind of spends the rest of the day like, man, that Big D screwed everything up. He was playing with us all week long. Derek talks to Hannah, and this was interesting. So Derek is going to spend a lot of time with Hannah today on the feeds, day 40. And they're going to be talking strategy. They're going to be talking like just spending more time. I feel like their relationship, they hadn't spent as much one-on-one time together as they had in the past, but today they're going to be spending a lot of time together. And coincidentally, Hannah is also going to start to feel like maybe I don't want Derek to leave next week. So he's going to talk with her. He feels like X is potentially coming for him, which is why he wants to make some kind of deal with X. She still is against this idea. She still feels like she's still, even as much as she's saying later that she doesn't necessarily want Derek X to go next week, she is still trying to squash this potential deal between Derek X and Xavier and Alyssa because she wants Xavier and Alyssa to be able to come after Derek X. And so she says, look, you have to think about jury management. It's not a good idea to make a deal with somebody when you know you're going to have to break it. And he's like, okay. They keep talking about this, by the way, this idea of jury management being basically don't make a deal with somebody and then break that deal because then you'll lose their jury vote. And it's always the cookout talk. Well, Kyland, if you took out Sarah Beth, then you would lose her jury vote. As though he's not already betraying her in so many other ways. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
don't.
like, "Oh, you didn't take me out specifically, but you stood by idly and watched this whole, like, train wreck come in slow motion for me. You did nothing." You
Yeah.
know? So it's like, yeah, Colin, you coulda gave me the heads up about this cookout thing." It's like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, no, but I didn't wanna lose your jury vote." And the messed
Yeah.
up thing about Kylan is that he would tell her that.
He
You
would.
know, like, we like, "Well, I would have told you, but I wanted to get your jury vote." Like, that's not how this goes normally, Paul. So I just don't see that working out for him. And yeah, you're right. I even think I saw Claire trying to explain to Derek X like what was like what the definition of a bitter juror. You know, like okay, well, if someone like betrays me and I don't vote for them, does that make me like bitter? No, it was Hannah. It was Hannah. Hannah's like, no, like no. If someone took you out because you were a comp threat and you didn't vote for them, yes, but like betrays you, no. That's you vote for that person. You always vote for the person who's betraying you because that means you're not bitter and I possibly could get your vote.
Yes. So Hannah thinks that Alyssa is the right target. If you take Alyssa out, Kai and X, she says, will go after each other. They don't trust each other. And so the relationship that Derek thinks is forming between Kai and X and Alyssa will be destroyed if you take out Alyssa because she's the glue that holds them together. And Kai and X will probably be suspicious of one another. At least that's obviously what she's trying to pitch to Derek. So what she would do is probably put Kai and Sarah Beth on the block and then backdoor Alyssa. She'd like take Kai down and then backdoor Alyssa. And then Derek was like, well, if she's up against Sarah Beth, like people like Tiffany and Claire are going to want Sarah Beth out over Alyssa. And she's like, okay, yeah, you're right. I guess I would have to take Sarah Beth down to backdoor Alyssa. And so it would be Alyssa versus Kai. And then they would send Alyssa home. So that's her plan. She's going to be telling that plan to her allies through the rest of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not wrong here. Like if you put Sarah Beth up, Tiffany's her mouth's gonna start watering. Like she wants her out of here. She's like, because she's from her point of view, I'm sure she's thinking like, okay, we getting Brittany out this week, and that frees up the Jokers to stop being so emotionally attached. Who's the other person who's so emotionally attached to their number? You know, their +1. It's Kylan. You know, like I don't even know if Kylan and Sarah Beth talk game anymore. It's just like this emotional connection that they have. It's just they're just each other's person. You know, they just walk into a room and hug. They're like, hey, how's everything going? Oh, it's fine. You scared me. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. You know, like it's rare that they sit down and strategize. So it's like, yeah, maybe she does need to go. And for Tiffany, I think Sarah Beth hanging around this long actually isn't that bad for her because now she always has a target. We always know where Tiffany's mind is at. Like she wants Sarah Beth. She wants Sarah Beth. She wants Sarah Beth. And she gets Sarah Beth. People are going to say, well, now who does Tiffany want? And then she's going to have to come up with more answers. And I think she's good with everyone else. So maybe Tiffany should probably take her foot off the gas just a little bit and allow Sarah Beth just to hang out just like a round or two more, just around, you know. Also, Sarah Beth could blow up the cookout, which we know Tiffany's ultimate goal is to get them all to the final 6, but she's so worried that Sarah Beth's going to see through her and all this other stuff. It's like, but again, for Chappell, it's not the worst thing in the world. So it's like, okay, well, Tiffany, the cookout's blown up. Now go win the game, you know. So for me, I would like to see Sarah Beth hang out just one more round or two, you know.
All right. Well, Kylan's going to talk with Big D. They're talking through scenarios for next week's twist, the roulette situation. And Kylan says that basically how this will work is that unless they end up giving them more money than they got this week, meaning like more money through the votes, or they have other opportunities to make the money that will give them enough to afford the second twist, then the only person who will be able to even afford the second twist likely will be Derek X, who is saving his money for the coin. So we're probably in a scenario where only cookout members will even be able to afford this twist, which means that we can put a cookout member on the block as a pawn in that scenario, because then the cookout member winning the twist would take the other cookout member down, and then it would be replaced by a random draw. Or they could just nobody could use it or buy it, and then they could just pass it on until the next week if they needed to do that. And so, because the idea is Kyland and Sarah Beth on the block, and Kyland is the pawn. But if the roulette is in play and somebody like Alyssa can win it, then that would be bad, because if Alyssa takes Sarah Beth down and not Kylan down, now two cookout members could end up on the block. So that would be the worry there. So if they end up getting more money, then they would have to figure out something else to do with nominations where a cookout member is not an initial nominee.
Yeah. Do you like this plan, Taran?
I mean, it's correct logic, though I do think that for Kyland, even if you think that you're confident that, like, oh, well, probably nobody will take this, be able to afford this twist. I don't think you can know for sure that, like, somebody hasn't secretly made money. And he talked about this. He was like, surely they would have to tell us if there's an opportunity to make money publicly, but like, you can't take Big Brother's word for anything. Like the idea that the chances that somebody could secretly have made some money and be able to afford a thing are too high, in my opinion, to let yourself go up on the block in a spot where you might end up on the block next to a cookout member. That would just be very bad for Kyland.
Right. And Kylan, like, this plan shouldn't fly with him, because when they start talking about cookout members being pawns, Kylan, you just won HOH. You're going to be available for this plan to, like, you could be that person. It'd be different if it was like, okay, I'm going to be the one to put up the pawns. It's like, so if one of y'all goes home, yeah, I'm sad, but it's not, at least it ain't me. It's like, this time it's like, no, this could very well be you. And like I said, with the way you handled this HOH, the word HOH I just got thrown around a few times. And so I'm thinking, like, maybe don't expose your jugular like that. It's very tempting to take out somebody like Kylan right here. So I didn't love it. Personally, I'm stupid. And so, as being in the house, like, someone would have to come and, like, Taran, you would have to walk over to me and explain this to me, because I would have been like, what? Leave me alone. Like, this would not be something where, like, I'm like, yeah, Chappell's in on the strategy. No, the roulette, what? Yeah, no, I'm a pawn. Oh, no. Scrap it. No. Yes.
Yeah. It is pretty fun. Like, I do like the intricacies of it, but sort of like I said last night, I do feel like ultimately this will benefit as long as they understand how to navigate it, which they certainly do, and they have the numbers to sort of muscle through it, which they also do. Then this is going to benefit the cookout more than hurt them, or at least it should. So this is when Kyland explains that, like, he wants to ask these questions to clear up lines of communication. He gives an example of issues in communication, that there was this situation where Azah said Hannah's name and Hannah heard about it. She questioned Azah and Azah said she didn't. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And so he says, like, that's what I want to clear up with all these questions. And Big D says, well, you know what it is? It's the women causing all these problems.
Those women, those dang women. Big D, look at you.
Yeah. Man, those women causing drama. Oh, man.
Big D famously against drama of all types. He's not in it. He does not want any drama. He doesn't want to be involved. He's just here to squash the drama. These women, oh my gosh, who allowed them to play Big Brother? They're wild.
So Xavier is going to talk with Hannah. This is what I was referring to. They're going to do hot takes together. They we know this, but they have this sort of like sibling relationship going on. And Hannah, by the way, and she mentions this, she's been struggling. I think that, I think that I don't know if it's perhaps like that she's feeling guilty as well, and she hasn't really had that conversation that Xavier and Tiffany got to have together to, like, vent and talk about it. But, like, she has been pushing Derek, and then spent a lot of time with Derek today, and then kind of started to push not Derek. And I'm wondering if there is some inner turmoil going on here, because she hasn't showered in a couple of days. She has a nervous habit where she moves her mouth a lot and she picks at her face a lot. And she's picked at her face so much that it started bleeding. She now has a Band-Aid over her face. And she's like, I'm struggling, America.
help me, please. I think the internet has been giving Hannah a lot of credit. Like, oh, look at her getting so close to Derek X. I'm like, she's ready to backstab him. I'm like, is she? Because, like, it's easier said than done. Like, everyone else has been showing, their cards a little bit with, like, being able to vent to somebody and saying, like, hey, this is tough. Like, Tiffany is pretty much just blatantly said, if any other situation was available, it would be me and Claire in the final two. I'm sorry, and so we know where she stands. We know, where a lot of them stood with their they're plus ones. I mean, look at Kylan and Sarah Beth. Like, I just don't see a world where he'd ever be okay with eliminating her. But this was Hannah's first cracking the armor, and I was just like, okay, look, I'm human. I too, like she's pretty much like she's smitten with him. She likes him a lot. I won't say that she's like romantically involved, like invested in him, but for sure she likes him as a person. They spend so much time together. It's just that much harder to backstab someone when you spend every waking moment with them. That's why we see these showmances last so long, and we're always like rooting for that last minute where the person eliminates their showmance because it's such good TV. But it's also like, oh, it's almost unheard of. Like, you spent every waking moment together for weeks, and you still have the heart to do this to someone. And so Hannah's hitting that moment where it's like, okay, what do I do? Like, and so I think deep down she's hoping somebody like, okay, look, someone take him out quickly so I can breathe a little bit, and then I can regroup, gather myself, and kind of refocus, because I think she might be losing it a little bit.
Just a little bit, but yeah. I do think she is more on the correct path here, not targeting Derek X next week. So, if it is a guilt thing that's causing that, then that's a good thing. Yeah. So they do hot takes. They're going to go through BB superlatives, and this very quickly turns into strategy. Least likely to make final two, they say Derek X is least likely. He's likely to be targeted, or Kylan. Or Kylan. You know why? Because Kylan is everyone in the cookout agrees. Xavier said Kylan is the first one out, except for Big D. Big D not on board with that, but everybody else agrees Kylan's first one out.
Yeah, nobody wants to take out Xavier first. Nobody would even think about the big, huge, super smart immunity threat that like we all see walking around, that we've been trying to figure out what his job is, the lawyer, the detective, the cop. Like, nobody would want him out first. We would want Kylan out. Sweet Kylan. That's exactly right.
Yes.
What?
Hannah asks Xavier, what is your ideal final four? He says, me, you, Tiffany, and Big D. And so with the four of us, and then everyone agrees that Kylan's the first one. Well, again, he says except for Big D. Big D is the only one of the six who wants Tiffany to go first. And they start laughing like this guy's playing a game of his own. He's in his own world. He wants Tiffany gone first. How ridiculous.
Yeah, Kylan even tells Tiffany at one point, like, Big D needs to feel like, and she's like, yeah, like he's like your number two, and he's like, no, well, not quite. She's like, what? Big D needs to feel like he's heard in the lights. No, not that. Like, so what does Big D like to feel like? He likes to feel like he thinks he's in charge. He's the leader. He says it's so hard leading this alliance. Like, you women make it so difficult. Y'all won't get on the same page. Like, why did he have to put the whole team on his back? Big D is struggling with this. So, maybe his view of the game and Tiffany's view of the game, and probably everybody else's view of the game, is a little different.
Yeah, they talk about how Big D, and I forgot that this was even the case, because I know Big D told Kylan that he had won the $100. I forgot that he hadn't told the rest of the cookout. So he's still lying to the rest of the cookout and claiming that he only got $75. Now, they know he's lying. They're like 90% certain that he is lying and that he got $100. Especially because, similar to the rogue vote in week one, where he was like, I'll just own up to it, even though I didn't do it. He's been like, well, I got $75, but I don't even understand why it's anybody's business and why I should have to talk about it at all. So they're pretty sure he got the $100. And like, why won't he just tell us? It's very valuable information, so we know who can afford what moving forward. But he's still lying to us, this guy.
Yeah, and they've identified him as the GOAT. Like, they've all the greatest of all time to go to the final two. But they all know that he is most likely to make it to the final two. They say this pretty openly, like, okay, no one's ever going to want to take Big D out because we just don't feel like he's a threat. He doesn't really have his finger on the pulse of what's going on here. But also, we don't see him winning a lot of competitions in the future. So he's going to be here for a while. My issue is that if you all recognize that, like, how are you now going to jockey for position to get to be the other person. Like, pencil him in for the finale. How are you going to get there with him? Because he's not going to like play ball if he finds out that he's the final two. Like, he's going to torch the games. Like, he's going to throw, like, he's not going to play nice. Like, you have to start to work your way into his plans. And I don't see anybody trying to do that right now. Everybody's just like, yeah, we'll get to him later on. Like, he's fine. Like, I think they should start using him a little bit more. And maybe after Brittany goes, maybe that's the plan. I just don't see anybody talking about it.
Mm. Well, they are going to continue to talk about the money. Xavier says, Kai and SB are clearly not America's couple. We found that out. They both got $50. I was like, Xavier, I know you've seen it. Don't you remember Big Brother 8? Because America was not very kind to Eric Stein either.
It's like America would want them to do well. Really? As a did we check in on Donnie lately and see how America did Donnie? Like Donnie was screwed.
Yeah, do we see what's happening to Brittany right now? Maybe it would be the right move to give him $50. So this is Hannah says she's been thinking about it, and if Derek leaves next week, then Claire, Alyssa, and Sarah Beth have no reason to target each other. And Xavier says, yes, but Derek has the money, so it's a good, we want to take him out so he can't afford the coin thing. And so there's a little bit of back and forth here. Xavier's not convinced that it shouldn't be Derek, but Hannah is now not really wanting to go in that direction. And now this is important because Hannah had prior to this been talking about trying to get people, including herself, to throw the competition to Xavier or Alyssa so that they could take the shot at Derek X. And now instead, they're going to talk about how who should win HOH next week. And she is now trying to convince Xavier to throw the HOH to her, which makes it considerably less likely that Xavier wins the HOH and targets Derek X. And he agrees to throw it to her if it comes down to the two of them. So this is, even if Xavier doesn't agree with not targeting Derek X, getting him to throw the competition to her is essentially a concession that Derek X will not be the target next week, assuming that something like that goes down.
Yeah, and so Hannah, if she were to get the HOH, her goal at this point would be what, Sarah Beth and Alyssa on the block? Is that what's going on? Like, she would be targeting Alyssa pretty openly, right?
Right. So like I said, her plan would be Sarah Beth and Kyland on the block, and then likely veto Sarah Beth to backdoor Alyssa next to Kyland. Now, that's her ideal plan, but we know that the roulette would really interfere with that potentially. So we'll see how it actually would go down. But the big thing here is that nobody's really going to target Derek X, likely, except for Alyssa and Xavier. And Xavier's now willing to throw this HOH. And Hannah and Xavier also agreed that they trust each other the most in the cookout. They're the most rational players in the cookout. And Hannah says, and isn't that a funny little thing that we're the most rational? Because I wasn't included at first because I was too young and couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Imagine Xavier telling you that you're rational when he probably is going to tell anybody in that spot that they're most rational. Like, if it was Big D, he wouldn't be like, "No, Big D, you're irrational." But I think Hannah makes a good case for herself in that spot. It's just that she's winning this fight. The longer she keeps Derek X around, the better for her. Like you talked about it, I think with Mary, where it's like your +1 going early now, it doesn't benefit you. Like, if the cookout is to explode, it's not going to explode on her if it's Derek X is the one blowing it up, So it works here. And Xavier is making a concession by saying, okay, well, look, if you get it, it's probably going to be Alyssa, and that's okay. Being the last person to make the concession is probably the best thing you could do. So I'm with Hannah on this one. She did some good work here.
Yes. So in the meantime, Derek and Claire are going to talk, and they discuss the possibility of what if we flip the vote this week? What if we got rid of Big D? I mean, Claire has been wanting to for a while. She recognizes that everyone wants to take him to the end and wants him gone because of that. And so, what if we did? What if we flipped the vote? Like, how could we make that work? Is it something that we could do? It's a seed of a thought here that is going to start to be discussed throughout the day. But the more interesting bit from this conversation, since that's never going to happen, the vote's not going to flip.
Yeah,
is that they start to joke about, like, man, everybody that's left, isn't it funny? Like, all the captains are gone now except for you. And Claire says, you know what else I've noticed? Only white people have been voted out so far. And Derek's like, yes, I didn't want to say. I didn't want to say, but yes.
Like,
Oh my god.
finally. Oh my god. You were thinking it. Yeah.
And Claire's like, "Is there another?" And this is jokey. They're very jokey.
Mhm.
Oh my god! Like it's almost like, is there another alliance in this house that I'm not a part
Could it
of?
be? Stop it.
Uh,
There's no way. There's no way.
I've
Stop
been
it.
thinking like maybe they won't vote me out for a while if I'm the only white person left because they can't vote out the only white person left.
Mm.
Derek's like, man, yeah, is there another alliance? Man, if that's true, man, so many props. I mean, faked arguments. I
Right.
deserve to go.
Yeah, I think that's why this alliance is so impressive. Is that like these people have never been in the same room together and sat down and hashed out a plan, like the six of them. So it's like for them to be fighting and to be having all of these like this inner turmoil and to have all these separate plans. It's like from Claire and Derek X's perspective, it's like, okay, listen, sure, it looks bad. The optics don't look great for us here, but how could they be doing this? Like, how could they have this understanding without, like, I spent all my time with Hannah. I would know if Hannah was like secretly meeting with all the black folk in the middle of the night. Like, I would see this. Claire's like, yeah, I mean, Tiffany loves me. Like, she told me, like, hey, I would take you to the final two. She missed the part of that sentence, but she told me that, you know, so it's like, how would they have done this? Like, Ozzy hates Tiffany, or at least Big D does. Like, you know, like, there's no way. It's like, but wouldn't it be crazy if it happened? It wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think the thing that they're missing is that that it's not faked fights, that it's genuine fights. But there is something bonding them together that they I don't think they're anticipating is as strong as it is. And
Yeah.
that's kind of the blind spot. He says, Derek says, I had noticed it. I just didn't want to say it out loud, but I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you said it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know, but you know, Claire's a smart cookie, you know, and so is Derek, and so I'm not shocked that they finally said it, but I wonder how long they've been thinking it. You know, that's more of my question in this is like, when did you really notice this? Because it wasn't like you woke up one day and were like, It's more like you start seeing people like a pattern after probably the third one. You know, they're like, okay, wait, what is this? And so yeah, I feel like yeah, they're probably a little late to the party here, and maybe just maybe they should just throw a grenade and see what happens. You know, like I it is not a 0% chance that could be happening. So you're kind of like, what if I just put up two members of this one minority group, just randomly, just pick two, and just see what happens. You know, just see what happens. I'm not saying they're the target. Let's just see what happens when we sit them on the block for a little bit and just see this fighting occur, right? Because we know that, you know, the relationships are rocky anyway. So like, what if we just kind of push it a little bit, let poke the bear a little bit and see what happens, and then like tell them like, oh, our plan is to backdoor, you know, Sarah Beth, like, oh yeah, they'll be okay with that. So she's a white woman, yeah, like okay, but like seriously, we just want them on the block to see like, okay, who's lobbying for who here, just to kind of see, you know, you just want to see.
And so you know, again, they're joking about this, but this the reason, because there have been comments here and there before, but this is the first time they've really come out and said it to another person who agreed, and they again were joking about it. But now that it's been joked about, it's something that they could come back to if there are warning signs that pop up. Derek is kind of searching, like, is there some sort of alliance I'm not a part of? Because things aren't making sense. Kylan did not play this HOH very well in terms of hiding the cookout, even though that's what he was trying to do, because of the Claire nomination just made no sense. And it still makes no sense. And so that really got the wheels spinning. And so I do think there's a chance that this comes back around at some point, that like another warning sign pops up. Remember the thing we joked about? I mean, this couldn't be real, right? I mean, it's so weird that this is happening.
Yeah. It's
So,
funny thing. Yeah.
yeah.
I think the piece they're missing here is Sarah Beth, because I think Sarah Beth probably has been dying to have this conversation too. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, maybe because I think you're right. I think nobody can put their finger on this is definitely happening. Like, this is definitely happening. But there have been signs throughout, and I'm sure like it kind of like it's in the back of their heads a little bit. Maybe if they had this conversation with Sarah Beth, she'd be like, okay, listen, just give me the HOH. Let me do the dirty work. Like, you know, let me just see. Like I said, I don't even know for a fact, but let me just see. Because I just don't see an inroad here for Claire. Even if she wanted to continue to play, like I understand she has these fake alliances, but I mean, the world that she gets to the final two with Tiffany, even if she wants to, right? It's like it's slim. And then even if she gets there, it's like, okay, well, do you get the votes? Because Claire doesn't have a lot of those strong relationships. I'm always trying to look for, okay, how can my faves make it? And this week I was just like, oh man, Claire, what are you doing? Like, well, last week, actually, the last 2 weeks where she's just been sitting around free just to just roam the house and not do anything. She did nothing. So I was just like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? So maybe for me, I wouldn't hate if they had the conversation. Now, again, I'm all in now on the cookout, but if this was Chappelle 2 days ago, I'd be like, blow it up, Tiffany. Take the reins and go on to the end. I would like to see it, but I don't have high hopes for them right now.
Well, Hannah's going to talk with Tiffany after her conversation with Xavier and basically tell Tiffany the whole conversation, saying that Xavier wants a final four of them plus Big D, and Tiffany is like, that Xavier, he absolutely wants to bring Big D to the final two. He's definitely got a final two with Big D. And Hannah's like, honestly, probably everyone has a final two with Big D except for the two of us.
You don't have to say it. Like it's like, oh, you want to go to the end with Victoria? Duh. Like duh.
This is the second though indication to me that that Tiffany is well aware of the fact that she is walking the path that leads to an Xavier win. And that she is, I think, I would predict that in the coming weeks, Tiffany will be working on Hannah to pull her away from Xavier and try to get Xavier targeted early as well as Kylan. I think she wants both Kylan and Xavier gone in the early portions of the final six, if that's what it comes to. But that's just a prediction here.
No, I'm hoping that she sees it as well. Like I said, I want Tiffany to win this, but I mean, the Xavier win is just, I mean, it's just right there. It's like a blaring like alarm that's going off in my head every time I see them on the screen together. I'm like, how do you? He's huge and he's smart. Like, what are you doing? Like, you got rid of Christian because he was athletic and nice. Like Xavier's those things too. So I just don't understand why y'all are letting him make it this far. I mean, at least you could say something to Kylan's social game, like this 3:00 in the morning meetings and stuff like that aren't great. And he doesn't have a lot of strong bonds with people because of his attraction to Sarah Beth has just been so strong to where they have kind of like just huddled into each other for a couple weeks. And now that he's back in power, he's trying to open that back up. But Xavier has always been playing, like all the sides of the house. I mean, aside from Derek X, he doesn't have a bad thing to say about anybody. And so I just don't understand, but hopefully Tiffany will figure something out. It's not looking good for her.
So Big D is going to talk with Azah and lets her know, they talk more about Brittany leaving. He lets her know that he's willing to fall on his sword for her in this game, and that he really wants a woman to win. He's really a big supporter of the women, Big D, and he really wants to make sure that a woman, especially a woman of color, wins this game.
Yeah, he'll go to the final two with the woman and just, fall on his sword and allow her to win. It's like he could easily take this, get all the votes unanimously, but he's going to stand up there. He's going to practice his speech. He's going to sit there awkwardly. He's going to walk in. He's got a whole setup. And then he's just going to say, you know what? I will allow the women to win this one. They weren't able to do it, but I have made it possible.
He takes a lot of inspiration from Frenchie, this guy. So...
Yeah, like people are shocked. They're like, "Oh, Frenchie's impact is still in the house." It's not so much his impact. Frenchie's right-hand man is still in the house, pushing the Frenchie mantras here in the narrative, preaching the Frenchie gospel. So I'm not shocked that this is coming out of Big D's mouth, but at least he is on board with a possible Tiffany win, as I am as well.
Yes. Well, Azah says that, when she watched last season, she was not a fan of Nicole Franzel and the way that she interacted with Da'Vonne. But now that she's in the house, she can empathize with Nicole Franzel and the situation that she was put in where she couldn't tell Da'Vonne the truth because she feels like she's in a similar position with Brittany and she feels like a terrible person, but she can't tell Brittany the truth.
Yeah, I mean, Azah, you should feel terrible because you're allowing this to happen. Like you shouldn't have got that close with her if you weren't going to be willing to do the things that need to be done. So I'm not saying like it's a game and you should take everything personally, but it's a social game. And so if you are connecting emotionally with somebody, when you hurt someone in a game or in life, it's okay to feel bad about it. Now you can feel bad about it and still play a winning game, but it's okay to feel things. I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in the game strategy that we like forget that these are people. And it's like, okay, yeah, you put Brittany in this spot. You sat by and watched it happen. You know she's gonna spiral. You couldn't even handle it the second time it happened. Like the second time was so bad that I was like, just pick me instead. Just take me. But now she's like, it's gotta be Brittany. It was like, you can't have it both ways. Like you are going to feel this. You are going to feel this, and it's okay. And it's okay. And so maybe she can extend a little grace to Franzel. She had a couple tough moments that season, I think, with Ian and with Davon.
So Ozzy goes on to she's still frustrated with Kyland. He's playing very selfishly, protecting Sarah Beth. And she says, look, the only reason I voted Christian out is because Kyland convinced me that he was coming for me. Now I feel like he might have been lying just to protect Sarah Beth. Maybe Christian wasn't coming for me. Maybe I should have kept Christian in this game.
No, Kylan lying to protect Sarah Beth. Who would ever think that? They just stand in the kitchen and slow dance sometimes for like 3 or 4 minutes, just hugging in the bathroom and like, cuddling. Why would he want to protect that person? I don't know. You think Kylan can have like an ulterior motive here? No, not Kylan.
Yeah. So Ozzy leaves because she's gonna get pulled in by Xavier. Xavier wants to hash out some of the differences between Ozzy and Tiffany. And in the meantime, Kylan's gonna come in and talk to Big D, who lets Kylan know, yeah, I was just talking to Ozzy. She's still pissed at you for the whole thing. And Kylan gets heated real quick. He is not. He's like, hey, what are you talking? What? She's still upset. I thought we resolved this. And he's like, yeah, Kylan, I just wish that you hadn't made that deal with Ozzy to throw the competition. He's like, that wasn't a deal. A deal is two people agreeing to do something for each other. Not one person coming to another person and passing and be like, can you do this for me? And if you don't, I'm going to be mad at you. That's not a deal.
Yeah.
Are we really still stuck on this?
She is, Kylan. I'm sorry, and she's not gonna let it go because, like, I mean, I saw the clip. Darren, do you feel like Kylan was in on the deal at all, or do you think that it was just something that was said to him and he completely was against it, or did he give her a sliver of hope?
I think that like, here's the thing. I think when it comes to that specific situation, I am actually with Kylan. Like, even though I think he could have handled it better by just saying no instead of like hemming and hawing, like, oh yeah, I guess. Like, I agree that there shouldn't be an expectation that just because I ask you to throw a competition, you then have to agree, or even that if you say yes, you are now beholden to that. You promised me. Like, well, come on. He could have handled it better, but I'm with him on that. But I think that then how he has handled the situation after the fact, I think because he knows he's justified, almost he has now gone too far in his reaction to it, where it's like, well, now you're just kind of like overreacting to what you consider to be the overreaction, and it's just become a mess.
Yeah, it's like all he really has to do is apologize sincerely here. And he can't do it because he thinks he has the moral high ground. Like, I was not in on that. Like, we were on a break. Like, so for him, he's like, yeah, for him, he's like, it doesn't count. Like, you just can't say things to me. It kind of reminds me of the wall competition when Xavier makes the deal for himself. Then afterwards, he's like, oh, yeah, Derek X, my whole team. And Derek X like, yeah, sure. And then later on, he's like, so about that conversation, like, I know you said your whole team, but it was like kind of after I had already won, and like the deal doesn't really involve them. So just to clear that up, Kylan really doesn't do that. Kylan is just like, you made the deal. I didn't make the deal. I'm sorry. Like, it's like, no, you're sorry because you don't want to give me what I want, or you don't want to apologize for it. But what you really should be saying is, Aza, listen, I know we have to work. We work together. I misunderstood, like lie, or just like, or tell the truth and be like, I wasn't willing to have the deal. I'm sorry, I messed up. My bad.
Yeah, I think I think personally, all Kylan needs to do is just be like, look, I'm sorry. Like, you approached me in the moment and I didn't want to throw it, but I didn't want to say no to you in the moment. I didn't know what to do and I panicked and I just said yes. And then I realized I didn't want to throw it. And then I won it. And I'm sorry that it played out that way. And that I said yes. I should have just said no because I wanted to win it for X, Y, and Z. But because that's owning up to his part of it, right? Because again, he didn't handle it as perfectly as possible, right? And I think that he did in his own way try to do that, but it did not. He did not communicate it in that way, and I think that not immediately getting like a return response, which was like, I shouldn't have asked, like, because you'd then expect Ozzy to be like, you know what, I shouldn't have put you in that spot. And Ozzy did not do that. And so then he was like, well, Do you have something to apologize to me for?
Right. Like anything you want to
Uh,
say, anything you want to add to the conversation here. But it doesn't help that Kylan also has been very open to like, I tried to throw it to Tiffany. Like, okay, look, you couldn't throw it to me, but you could throw it to Tiffany. What's the reason? Tell
mhm.
me why. And so, like, if Kylan's like, I really wanted to win this one, it's like, okay, then why have you been telling people that you wanted Tiffany like to win it instead? Like, why did you stand there for so long? Like if you really like, he didn't the question wasn't, I mean, the song hadn't even played. Which song was it? Like you've been playing with yourself or whatever all night or whatever song. Like it hadn't even played good and he had hit the button. So it's like you really wanted to beat me, but you stood there and let Tiffany have a fair shot at it. So it's kind of like, did you want to win it or did you just want to beat me? And so that's why his apology is falling on deaf ears because it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, is like, again, like that specific scenario, yes, you can see why Kylan might have, behaved the way he did, but the real reason behind why he wanted to win, the X, Y, and Z, is that like he doesn't think that she's reliable enough, because she thinks it's that he was trying to protect SB.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it actually goes a little deeper than even that, because he was willing to throw it to Tiffany, who was going after SB. I think beyond that, it's that he just doesn't trust Azza as a player and they've talked about this. A lot of the cookout feels this way, that they don't want Azza to win because they don't know for sure what she would do as the HOH, that she would be able to stick to the plan and to be able to keep the information to herself and not give some things away. And that's the real reason. And obviously, I don't think he feels comfortable telling her that. And so it's like, until these sorts of things can be communicated openly, like it's just never going to be resolved.
Yeah, they don't respect the Jokers, and they never have. Like from week one, they've never respected the Jokers. It's never going to change. And so, I mean, this is just another like iteration of that. We think Big D is our final two GOAT. Like we don't trust Azza with it. Azza very well could be a final two GOAT as well. Like they don't respect her. They don't think that she's done enough in the game to where like that has merited like, okay, we could put this in your hands. Also, we've seen her very emotional reactions to a lot of strategic things that have happened in the game. So yeah, that's what he wants to say, but he would never say that, and he shouldn't. And so yeah, this is why they're having a disconnect, because he's still lying. Like he can't apologize because morally he's like, I wasn't wrong. So yeah, it's just not working for him.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't help either that like he feels like he's backed up by like Tiffany, who holds a similar opinion on Azza, Xavier, and even Big D is like, yeah, I mean, maybe we can't trust Azza to win. So like, I think that hurts as well, like the whole situation when you have people who are essentially playing the middle between the two of you, who are telling both people that they're in the right, which makes them a lot less likely to come together and admit that they're wrong. But Xavier is going to do the opposite of that in his mediation session here with Azza and Tiffany. Xavier does a great job mediating as he wants to reconcile the differences between the two of them, clear out some of the arguments and resentments that are being held. And it starts a little tense. Azza's like, because it starts with Tiffany being like, why are you asking me the questions? She's the one with the issue. I have no issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Azza starts talking, and as she's explaining her issue, Tiffany keeps interrupting with like, no, that's not what I said. No, that's not what it was.
Yeah.
But Xavier keeps it going, keeps it level. And it actually starts to go really well. And they talk through like, how that they're both like, Azza's really hurt by the fact that she's having to betray Brittany, and Tiffany's like, I'm feeling the same thing, and they can both relate to that because she's having to do the same thing with Claire, and they talk through the difficulty of trusting each other when they're still getting to know each other, and they're having to have this unconditional trust essentially with each other while going through this very stressful situation and betraying the people that they are close to, and it gets emotional.
Yeah, and I like this for a number of reasons. Number one, Azza has been looking at Tiffany as like a heartless game bot for a few weeks now, and so like this is Tiffany finally getting to say like, no, I care about people too. Like, yeah, this Claire thing is driving me crazy. I just haven't said it to you, or like you don't believe me when I say it. But now Xavier is here; he can kind of mediate it and say, okay, like no, see seriously, like she's torn up over this. We all are, right? But I also like that through this communication, we see that when someone says like, I don't have a problem, you do. A lot of times they do have a problem. Their problem is less on the surface. They're not wearing it on their sleeve. Like you're walking around like with an obvious chip on your shoulder, and I'm harboring like resentment deep down for you that I'm like not willing to let, cloud my judgment or my game from my perspective. So like, yeah, it starts off with Ozzy like, you called us liars. You said like y'all three lying. And Tiffany's like, no. I said y'all are liars. Like, you're like, no, y'all like y'all are, you said y'all three are liars. Like, no, I said, y'all lying. That's different. And I was like, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about like you, like, and I used my hands kind of like, my hands were kind of thick. So it was to Big D and Brittany are liars. And you just happen to be in the middle of all of that lying. So like, it's very much like semantics when it comes to Tiffany. But it's like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. And then Tiffany's like, but I am mad about how y'all rolled up on me afterwards and didn't trust me to talk to Brittany like I'm some horrible person. Like y'all had to be her bodyguards. Like, Tiffany, what happened to you? Didn't have no problems. Like you was good. You didn't have to go there. And Tiffany still has this problem. Like she's walking around the house after all of this and like, hey, listen, they got me messed up. Because if you ever rolled up on me like that in the streets, it's a different game. Like if we didn't have this cookout, bro, like that would have been it. That would have been it. You because I'm Tiffany, okay? I'm Tiffany Mitchell. I don't play that, So it very much was like, oh no, Ozzy, this is a you thing, but it's a we thing. It's a we thing. They just didn't know it.
Yes. Well, I do think that they come away from this conversation feeling better about each other. And they mentioned that like no matter what, like they're sisters and like they will support each other. And this is vital, I think, for Tiffany's game. In fact, for as much as I give kudos to Xavier for mediating this really well, I actually don't think it's great for his game that these two reconcile at all. Because it just gives Tiffany the positioning to actually do something about Xavier if she chooses to, which I think she might be thinking of. But it was it was a good conversation.
Yeah, I wish Tiffany could have gotten there sooner though, because like now, like you're saying, Taran, you can identify like, okay, now Ozzy could be a piece to this puzzle to get rid of Xavier. Like we know Ozzy has a crush on him, but if she's willing to let Brittany go, she might be willing to let Xavier go, with a little prodding. And Xavier, he didn't identify that this rift that Ozzy and Big D were like, they were drawing a strategic line in the sand as well. Like they were like trying to torch Tiffany's game subtly. Like they're like, oh no, we don't like Tiffany. Like you've been saying it for weeks, Taran. Like they don't like her. So it's like them not liking her is very much why Big D thinks she's gonna go first. Like, okay, when it comes down to cookout, it's Tiffany first. We don't like her. Like he's like, me and her are very similar. We see kind of the same way, and so we just never gonna see eye to eye. But now Tiffany's like, no, Ozzy's my sister. She and I can play together. We have reconciled these things. Ozzy feels good about me. Ozzy's crying. We're apologetic. We're saying thank you and all this other stuff. Ozzy, what if we got rid of Xavier? So that's what's next.
It reminds me a little bit of Danny last season, convincing Bailey that like, oh no, Tyler's chill. Like he really wanted to protect you when Bailey was super suspicious of Tyler. And then Tyler would then had the ability to like pull Bailey in against Danny. And it was like, well, you didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So Sarah Beth is going to talk with Alyssa. They talked through some of last week. This is when Alyssa talks about being kind of annoyed with the people that were playing with her, like Big D. Alyssa also talks to Derek. Good to see Alyssa starting to do some work here because the last few days have mostly just been like Alyssa talking to Xavier. Like Alyssa and Xavier are spending so much time together. Even today here on the feeds, they're spending a lot of time together, just like I guess not flirting. But it looks a little
flirting.
bit like
they're flirting about Christian. It's so weird because it's like, what about that guy you liked? Yeah, ain't that something cute? That's so cute that you like that guy. You're really cute. It's like, wait, what? Oh, nothing. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is. But anyway,
Taran, wait, Taran. Did you see the moment? Because you always do a good job of calling out the Xavier flirting moments. Did you see the moment where she's like, yeah, Alyssa's like, I used to have a crush on DX as well. Like Derek X, he was kind of cute to me, but it's not really that thing that he did with the back door. It wasn't very masculine. I didn't love that. Like it kind of turned me off to him. And Xavier's like, I mean, so you have no more crushes in the house at all? And nobody, anybody else that you would like, just the one? And she's like, yep, just Christian. And he's like, oh. Okay.
and that of course reminds me of week one when Alyssa was running around telling everyone, yeah, Derek X said that he thought I was really attractive, and that's why he was nervous around me.
Right.
So
And Xavier's like, anybody else you find attractive?
yeah, don't you think? I mean, are like astrological signs really compatible? Didn't you hear about that?
I'm a
Um,
model. Didn't you hear? We're models. We're both models. Like I too am a model. I can model with you. You know.
I feel like Xavier screwed up when he lied about being a lawyer. I think that could have helped his cause.
Yeah.
I think but anyway, she's gonna talk with Derek. She says, "Look, I know that we had talked. Like you said that you didn't want to backdoor Christian because you were worried that that you weren't gonna get my jury vote. That if you did it, you didn't have it. Just so you know, like that's not true. Like I'm a fan of this game. I'm not gonna hold that against you. I'd still vote for you in the end. Like I have a lot of respect for your game." And she says, I don't think there's a reason why we can't continue to try to build on what we were trying to build before, when we were trying to build trust before all that happened. I have no reason to come after you. Like I would love to sort of work on this. And Derek is like, yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. And like this is good work by Alyssa. Xavier has started to talk more with Derek and hang out more with Derek as well. They're both gonna go in and put donkey outfits on, and like fool around. And Derek is feeling a lot better about Xavier and Alyssa now. And it's really just Hannah holding that relationship back at this point.
Yeah, but I like this from Alyssa, but I didn't love it because I feel like this might be your moment where you say, okay, well, if we're good, what are we doing next? You know, kind of like, okay, since we're not targeting each other, well, who is our plan? You know, like where are we going? Because this might have bought Alyssa a week. You know, like if Derek X wins HOH, this conversation might have saved her this time. Like, okay, now it might be Sarah Beth or Claire or whoever, Brittany or whatever, whoever makes it. But like you need to be like, okay, Derek X, you're never going to come after me ever because we are coming after these people. Like we are the final three, me, you, and Xavier. That way we can battle it out, all that stuff. You know, they always say that. So when we get to the final five, we'll battle it out. Like this was her moment to do that. And she kind of just stepped away from it. And I feel like when she had buy-in, she just kind of left it to kind of simmer. Like we'll work on it. And I think at this point in the game, what are you working on? Like you should be solidifying things from my point of view. I could be wrong.
No, I think that's the mistake that she made the week that Christian was HOH with Derek. It's the same one that she was like, yeah, let's look out for each other, but then they didn't talk through like what their plans were or anything like that. And ultimately, the result of that is that they recognize that this is not real. But I do, at the very least, I like that she's starting the attempt here. I think that without Hannah's influence, Derek probably goes back to them, and they probably do start to solidify something. However, Derek is going to talk to Hannah and he says, look, I had this conversation with this. I really feel like we can make this work. And I feel like I want to make a deal with them. And I want to stay. You mentioned that we shouldn't make a deal with them because then we'd have to go back on it. What if we don't go back on it? I don't think I'd want to go back on it. Let's do this. And she's like, but then we'd have to go after Sarah Beth. And he's like, okay.
All right.
Like, that's cool. She's like,
Is it?
stop it.
Is it? She's like, no, 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 no. And but he has the right idea. For him, he should very much be like, okay, let me align with the people who I know are targeting me. Like Xavier will not talk to me, basically. Like like about game at all. Like he's sick of me, and it's very obvious. And everyone keeps telling me he's not, but I can see it. So it's like for him, this is the right move. But Hannah's letting it slip away. Like she should be like, no, no, no. They're lying to you. Like Xavier told me that Alyssa was going to come do that. Like she should be using her influence on him. And she's kind of she's missing her mark here.
She's trying to tell him that like we still need to go after Alyssa anyway, right? And we don't need to worry about Xavier. I'm telling you, he's cool. So there's no point in making a deal with Xavier, because you'll just need to go after Alyssa. Anyways, like okay, yeah, I guess I don't need to make a deal with Alyssa. And so she's still holding it off for now, but like there's a lot of momentum here. And Xavier, for his part, is for as much as Hannah's telling Xavier not to do this, especially now if Xavier is going to be throwing the next HOH, I think he probably recognizes that like maybe this is going to be more beneficial to him to have some kind of protection from Derek. And I like I will say overall, I like what Xavier has been doing in terms of he's been more active within the cookout. He's working on Hannah. He's working on Big D. He's setting himself up well, and now he is being a little more proactive with Derek. He is sort of turning it on in the way that I was hoping he would this week. I think that last week, he was sort of like distracted by the guilt about Christian and stuff. I think the getting the $75 and feeling like America is supporting the cookout really helped like re-energize him in terms of like, okay, kicking it into the second gear of this game and feeling pretty good about it. And it's not without mistakes still. I still don't feel like helping Azza and Tiffany resolve their differences is the best idea. But I like what I've seen from Xavier.
Yeah, it's like largely like for him, I just need to make it a couple more weeks and I can start winning these competitions. And then like I'll be able to like if I can win an HOH here, a veto here, whatever, then I'll be fine. Cause he doesn't really have another plan outside of that. Like once he's exposed at the final 6, at any point, he needs to be on the block. Like there's no reason why he shouldn't be on the block. And now if he wins his way to the end, then what are you gonna do about it? But he's doing the right thing right now to keep him off the block until then. Like I just need another week from Derek X. I just need another week from Sarah. I just need to just keep this at bay long enough to where I can kind of like maneuver on my own because he doesn't know this. The alliance is not behind him. He does not know that like he is the first to go in everybody's minds except for Big D.
Mm-hmm. So Xavier, by the way, has talked Alyssa into, or at least is trying to talk Alyssa into nominations being Claire and Tiffany within a Derek backdoor if she were to win. And he let Hannah know that that's the direction that they're going. So that's sort of like his idea. But again, they are now looking to sort of push the HOH into a different direction so that the target can land on somebody else. So we talked about this already, but Kylan does his big, long questioning thing, and it's similar. He's using the pieces again, and we're not always seeing all the pieces, and it's whatever.
Yeah, if this wasn't forever, like if it didn't take forever, I would be okay with this. But like I said, he's largely just interrogating people. And I don't think that's ever a good communication style. Like when you are trying to rally the whole house against one target, then yes. But in this moment, you don't really need to do that. So it just kind of seems like you're just mining information, but in a very open and professional, like transactional way, where it's like, no, I would like to feel like I told you this because I felt good about you in the game and not I told you this because you were holding me hostage at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and it's making everyone feel uncomfortable because he's essentially acting like he's got nominations again, because he does. I mean, there's 2 vetoes, and he's in control of at least one of them. So theoretically, he could nominate anybody. And the fact that he's asking people a bunch of very pointed questions at like 2 a.m. Kind of signals that he might be looking to make a shot. And Brittany is getting really nervous about it. She's like, I'm not feeling very good about tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, and I think Brittany did a good job with the questions, because like with the information that she has, she's like, oh, like who do you think would come after you? She's like, I don't know, Hannah. Like she's not like Sarah Beth, and I'm coming after her. Like so she does a good job with the questions, but at this point, yeah, it's 4 a.m. Nominations are today, and you're like hell bent on talking to all of us. You're about to do something, and it's like, could you just not? How about you just don't? Right? Like just don't do that. Don't do all of this to get us to slip up. Because I think that's what he's waiting on. He's waiting on you to slip up so he can say, well, I asked you a direct question and you didn't give me a direct answer. So now I have to put you up. It's like, no, we know your game now, Kylan. We're not going to answer these questions. Like we even seen Azza to the point where she's like, no, I don't know the answer. It's Frenchie. The answer is Frenchie. So yeah, I don't love this. As someone who's rooting for Tiffany, I like this. Yeah, fine. Let's put the target on Kylan. I don't care. But as someone who's rooting for the cookout now, whatever. Yes. Kylan is screwing this up, and this hasn't been a great week for him. I'd be interested to see what happens in the stock watch for him moving forward.
Yeah. We will see. We will see on that one. There's more of that. I mean, it really, I don't think there's anything major from these conversations, to be honest, other than their ridiculousness, and we've already kind of complained about them. So we also have late into the night, Hannah and Claire talked. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier when Derek was talking to Hannah, he also brought up the idea of flipping the votes against Big. He floated the idea of like, what if we flipped the votes against Big D? Of course, she was like, I don't know if that would be so we would need Kyland to be on board, right?
Mhm.
And so Hannah is going to talk to Claire, and Claire also pitches, what if we flipped the votes on Big D? And for me, I'm like, Claire, you're not off the block yet. You're not off the block
Yeah.
yet. Be
What was
quiet for
that?
2 seconds.
Yeah, I was like, wait, Claire, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because what's stopping Hannah from going, well, gotta go tell everybody, like Claire, this is sloppy. And I know that they solidify question mark a final four. It's like Hannah, Tiffany, Claire, and someone. I don't
Yeah, I mean,
what is
they
this?
like she. Well, let's see. There's the detectives. I don't think there's a named final four with Hannah and Derek X, but they're wanting to bring Hannah in on the final five with Kylan named the agency, but they don't really trust
Yeah.
Kylan. So
Yeah, but look at Claire like saying like, okay, I'm on the block and I'm making a move. It's like, no, Claire. When you're on the block, you do not make a move. You wait to come off the block where you're safe, when you have a veto around your neck, where you're HOH, and then you say, okay, let's play. And then even then, you still have to know that the HOH is coming up. So you don't want to put like a big target on someone who is eligible to be HOH next week. You just need to get out of this spot first. Like you were doing something, like you're playing with fire. You're on the
never,
edge
yeah,
of the cliff. Yeah. You can just be pushed.
never pitch for a change in the plan or like whatever is in place until you are off the block and safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very like it's again like I feel like Claire I feel like she knows these things too. I feel like in the start of the game she was a lot more careful, but she's gotten a bit sloppier as time has gone on. Just do not take it for a given that you are coming off this block, because if you pitch something that is a change to the structure of how things are going to work, that you might be stepping in something that you don't realize, which she is.
Right.
But I don't think it will matter. I don't think that Hannah's going to shift anything around here. So it's not a big deal, but it could have been.
Do you think Claire is finally seeing the writing on the wall? Like I know us Claire fans, I am one. Like we have been saying, like Claire, do something, And I think maybe she's realizing, like, oh shoot, she hadn't prepared for this. Like, had it not been a double veto, Claire would still be on the block, and she would probably be going home in that spot. So, do you think she's like kind of getting erratic a little bit, where she's like, okay, now I have to strike because I've waited too long, I backed myself into a corner, and she's just doing it in a sloppy way?
Well, I think that I think she's correctly identifying that she needs to start making moves. The problem is that she hasn't fully figured out where she can make moves yet, and she trusts people like Hannah and Tiffany far too much. And because of that, any move she's going to make is only going to further sink her. And one of the reasons why she's safe is because she hasn't made a move yet, and they feel that she's very easily controlled. Now, we know that she's probably a lot more dangerous than that. But the reason she's more dangerous than that is because she's now going to start trying to make moves, but with the wrong people, unfortunately.
Yeah, we saw Sarah Beth do something kind of like this a few weeks ago, where I think she did it well, but then she kind of went overboard. Is that like when Kylan was in power, she's like, "Woo, all right, let's get Hannah out of here," and she starts pushing, or like she's like really like banging the table, like, "Oh no, now I have to do this right now because I know that I can't work with her. She's got to go now." And then like the moment Kylan's not in power anymore, we don't see any more Sarah Beth. She's like,
when Kristen was in power, you mean? When
yeah,
Kristen
yeah, when Christian has HOH, because like she's protected by the team, right? But the moment that goes away, she's like, okay, okay, back into the shadows. I don't want to make any waves. But like Claire, you're doing this while you're still out there just a sitting duck, and I just don't think this is the right time, and I don't love it because Hannah could just say, you know what, Claire is very wily. She's probably a little bit more aggressive in her gameplay. Like she has more information than Brittany does. Why not just get out Claire here? And it wouldn't be a hard sell, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it would be easier than they think it would be. But yeah, I mean, I think that the problem with lying low is that the more you lie low, the less power you have, the less information you have, and when you do want to move in and start playing a power game, you need to start playing. Like Claire needs to start making moves. Sarah Beth needs to start making moves, but they now don't have the information required for them to make the right moves in the right way because they haven't been doing their due diligence and keeping up with what they need to know. So they're in some
There you
trouble. But
go.
Claire says that they agree that what they would need to convince Hannah's sort of like go-to defense against this flip against Big D is we need to get Kyland on board. We can't flip it without Kyland's support. We wouldn't even have the numbers probably. So we need to get Kyland on board. She knows that Kyland's going to say no to this. She can blame it on Kyland. Claire says that we do not want to lose Derek X. Hannah agrees. For that reason, she wants to take the shot at Alyssa. Alyssa's the biggest threat to Derek X. And she it goes on to explain her plan to Claire that she wants to put Kyland and Sarah Beth up on the block and then backdoor Alyssa. If they need to send Sarah Beth home, they can send Sarah Beth home. And the reason she says she would send Sarah Beth out over Kyland is that Kyland is a bigger threat. Leave Kyland in the game, and more people are going to be coming for him. And Claire's like, I mean, I feel like at some point you just take out the big threats. I feel like maybe we should take out Kyland at that point. And she was like, nah, I feel like we want to leave him in for a little bit longer.
Yes,
So
Claire. Claire's like, I'm being gaslit right now. I can tell. I know. Like, let's leave all the big threats for the end, and then they can just win. Like, she's like, what? Does that make sense? Yeah.
So the only other thing here is that Kyland and Sarah Beth are going to be talking late into the night. Kyland's sleep schedule is completely destroyed at this point. And they're just going to be hanging out and cuddling and talking about how gorgeous she is. Whoops.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Look, I think Kylan outside the game should be pitching for the throuple at this point. Like, I think, or at least like a standby or like, like, hey, if y'all ever get bored, whatever, just like, and y'all just want to break from each other, just come holler at me, because I think he likes Sarah Beth, and I think it's gonna be sad for him when he gets out of the house and she's not, connected to him like that. But again, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it's all platonic and I'm just tripping. But it just looks suggestive, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are shipping Derek X and Hannah. Personally, I see more of a connection with Kylan and Sarah Beth than I do with Derek X and Hannah.
It's so cute and also really kind of unnerving sometimes, because it's like, hey, we got to get her out of here one day, just so you know. Like, she has to go. I was like, Kylan might cry. I will see the tears will happen when Sarah Beth leaves the house. It will be the longest hug in the history of the world when that door is open and she's just like kind of just waiting to go. And Julie's like, Sarah Beth, please come outside. And also don't touch me, but come out. You have to leave the house. Yeah. So, oh, wow.
Is it wrong of me that I want every person who, like, every member of the cookout essentially to have to send out their person like directly?
That's what I want.
Yeah,
that's
like,
exactly what I want.
Kylan to have to be like the vote to send Sarah Beth home or something like that, and then like I just feel like that's how it should be. Like, if you're gonna and that's what I mean about like this whole jury. Like, oh, if you send Sarah Beth out yourself, you'll lose her jury vote. Like, you're betraying Sarah Beth anyway. Like, let's just stab him right in the front and just look him in the eye and say, I'm sorry.
It was me. Yeah, it was me. Like, you're like your arm, you have like the hypothetical gun pointed at them, and your hand is shaking, and you're just like, you got one teardrop coming down, and it's like not you. It's like, yes, it was me, and then you end it, and so it's very gruesome if you say it like that. But also, good TV.
Yes. All right. That's about what we've got for you today, Chappell. Anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, I'm more concerned about what is coming next as far as like end games for a lot of these people. And that's why I've been asking you mostly like, okay, what is Claire to do in this spot? Like, what should she be doing? Is there any wiggle room? Because like a lot of people have been saying, oh, it's kind of boring. For me, not boring at all, because I like to see this internal battle they have with, do I do what's best for my game or do I do what's best for the group? I also like to see this thing of like, it's almost like they're in teams still for the cookout, right? Like, they can put each other on the block, but it's not an option for them to vote one of each other out until this happens. So it's kind of like they have so much more to navigate, because things have to line up just perfectly. Like, the right person has to win the right HOH at the right time so they can target the right person so that person can go home. And now we have these twists. We have the roulette, all this other stuff, this coin, the roulette, blah, blah, blah. What was this talk about the coup d'etat? Did they make that up? Did Twitter make that up?
Coin of destiny.
Yeah. So it's the same. Is it the same
as a coup d'etat?
Yeah, like, listen, Taran, I am stupid. So when I hear all these words and these numbers, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Let Taran explain it to me in the morning.
How we believe it works is that the winner of the coin of destiny, or whatever it's called, will then flip the coin. If it lands on the correct thing, right, correct side, then they get to take over the HOH. And they have discussed on the feeds, I don't know if it's speculative or if they know this for a fact, that it is anonymous. So unlike a coup d'etat where you stand up and you take over and you name two nominees, that anonymously you then name two new nominees of your own. And then I would assume that the actual HOH then controls the no, you know what, maybe not. I would say you know, probably the takeover controls the renom as well, considering that it's a coin flip to even get it anyway.
They say that it's a coin flip, so that would be like 50-50, but you know, this is Big Brother. Like, what are the odds for some like you have this amazing power and it just disappears, nobody uses it? Like, what are the odds? Taran, like, talk to me. Look, the cameras are off. You know, like all the people listening to the live feed update, they're gone. We've stopped recording here. Tell me, Taran, what are the odds that this really happens?
you and Rob, very, very much alike.
I just want to know, like, you have this amazing thing that could pretty much disrupt this entire game that so many people have said is monotonous. Then so it's like, don't you kind of make it a two-headed coin?
I think there is a chance that it lands on no power. I think that because I think that there is TV drama in somebody needing it to work, flipping the coin and it doesn't work. And you know, like that's a loss, just like, you know, somebody who really needed the HOH losing is a loss, you know.
Yeah, we get like a lot of teary-eyed like diary rolls, like, I was so close, I almost had it. Like, it's like, well, your game was like your game came down to a coin flip. So did you really almost have anything? You know, like, if you need a coup d'etat, you weren't in the best spot, Jeff, in the first place, and maybe you shouldn't be, you know, in the running to win the game. So whatever. But I guess for me, I would like to see it just because it would be boring for us not to see it. Like, it's right there, but also, like, no, I agree. Like, there's some drama in, like, just just missing it just narrowly, you know, like the coin flip is extra, like in slow motion, and it kind of spins around, you know, like, and then it just almost, and then you go home.
Yeah. And it could also be the opposite, though. It could be that, like, you know, because you talked about, like, what is the way for anybody not in the cookout to even make anything work. I feel like the seeds are actually starting to be there. Alyssa's conversation with Derek X is actually very dangerous for the cookout in the potential for it, because if Derek X and Alyssa are able to reconcile their differences, then the connective tissue exists between Alyssa, who also talked to Sarah Beth, still used to be on a team together, still kind of working together, Sarah Beth, and Claire, who have been in the jackpot together, talk a lot of game. Derek X now with Claire, talks a lot of game. Now I've joked about the existence of a potential cookout alliance, essentially. And now, so if Derek X is able to get along with Alyssa and he talks to Sarah Beth, if they start to suspect something, they could have that conversation, which could lead to things that the cookout doesn't like. However, the twists could really help the cookout in that. Even if that did happen, the roulette could really screw up any resistance, and this coin, which Derek X is the only one who could even theoretically afford it, and even then, other people will also be able to afford it, and they might win it. We might be in a situation where, like, Derek X is flipping that coin, trying to get something, or we might see a situation where Derek X is the HOH, finally ready and poised to take a shot. X and Kyland on the block. Here we go, and then
Big D,
you know, Big D flips
you know
the
it,
coin of destiny
you know it.
and says, "Nope, sorry, Derek X, you're going home this week."
You know that's exactly what we need, right? Big D having like the power that he already thinks he has. Like, look at me, I control this. I am the leader. Like, oh my gosh, the casuals are screaming. The super fans are crying because they're like, what is wrong with them? But also,
could you imagine? I mean, that is honestly, I'm expecting that to happen now, because that is peak Big Brother audience interference. Is that the audience gives Big D $300? And then Big D ends up completely screwing Derek X, takes him out on his own HOH week, the actual audience favorite. And that would be exactly what would happen in Big Brother with the audience votes.
Yeah, we don't like, we're not allowed to have nice things because Big D would then make the final two, and we'd have to sit through his speeches about how like I controlled this game, I masterminded everything. Like, and when everybody was about to go home, it was my coin flip, the power of the coin d'etat that got me
The
into this
coin
position.
toss.
Like that's what's gonna happen because we're not allowed to have nice things, and we're all gonna be like, no, that's not what happened. That's not it. And Big D's gonna be telling everybody he's gonna be fan favorite. Like we have to sit through those conversations because that's what Big Brother is. And so, yeah, I'd like to see it.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you guys today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Of course, Rob will be live later for the patrons with The Slop
Mm-hmm.
today to talk about all the sloppiness in the week of Big Brother 23. Tomorrow, I'll be live with the update at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. We should be getting the veto ceremony today. So Brittany will be going up and we'll get whatever kind of reaction is going to happen from that. And then tomorrow night, the Stock Watch should be a lot of fun. So make sure you check that out. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I go live during the episodes to watch them and also play some games and hang out and talk about Stock Watch and all kinds of fun stuff. So check me out there. And you can also find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. I'll tweet out the survey tomorrow morning after the update for the Stock Watch. So check all of that out. Chappell, what are you up to?
Oh man, I can't follow that. I was like, I'm not on Twitch. I'm not doing the Star Wars. I'm not doing it.
You do
Listen,
so many podcasts, Chappell. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm like Big Brother wise. Like, no, I'm chilling. I'm chilling right now in the Big Brother world. But I do have a podcast that I do weekly. And I say weekly, but we haven't recorded the second episode yet. But Sasha Joseph and I over on Silent Podcast have been covering the show Never Have I Ever on Netflix. And so we will be covering it 2 episodes, I think, at a time, just trying to get through both seasons without having to do this for the rest of the year. And so episodes 1 and 2 are already out, and we'll be recording the next 2 episodes, I think, today. Those are like, you can follow Silent Podcast on wherever people have podcasts. I don't know. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. YouTube even. So if you want to check me out there, Rob and I do the reality TV rewind, or RHP rewind, every week. And where this most recent week we talked about MTV Cribs because it came back. MTV Cribs is back. And so Rob, Asia Welsh, and Jason Reed and I all talked about that with, I think the guests were Big Sean and TJ Lavin. So for the challenge fans, you might get a treat there. And then last week, Rob Jason and I talked about Survivor David versus Goliath. The sixth best season in the RHAP Top 40 Survivor season countdown. So I'm there too. But if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Chappells_show. That's CHAPPELLS_show, where I'm just tweeting really nonsense a lot of times. Honestly, if there's just a stream of consciousness, this is where I get my thoughts out. Sometimes I tweet about Big Brother. A lot of times I'm just tweeting about Tiffany. But largely that's where I am. And if you have something kind to say, talk to me. If you have something rude to say, I will block you.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us here today, and I will see all of you next time.